In society, you can say pretty much anything about anybody these days online, and there's zero repercussions until maybe now, as Asmongold has his crosshairs potentially on one person just slinging all the defamation at him. It's about freaking. This has been a story the last few days, and I think the best way to describe, or at least to talk about this, is actually just to watch and react to this video that Asmongold put out 1 day ago. And this has to do with somebody labeling him a pedophile. And I don't know if you guys saw this allegation, this thing. It had like 120,000 likes over on.
He's sitting next to some girl, right?
Yes.
There's like a picture. Okay.
Yeah. And now the idea is that he's contemplating the idea of potentially suing this person. So let's go ahead and check this out and see the reaction to it.
So basically, there's a post. This is a person. It's like saying, I'm like, this is actually crazy to say about somebody, right? Crazy to say. I'm thinking like, I'm already in a lawsuit, right? I'm already in a lawsuit. I'm already regularly talking to lawyers. Maybe I should sue this guy.
So quick note, look at the number of views. Look at the number of hearts on this, number of likes. This had over when I saw it, it had like 120,000 likes on it, right? Saying that he's 33, she was 17, and that's the allegation here. And over 2 million people, almost 3 million people have seen this at this point by the 16th president of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. So there's that. Let's continue.
I'm going to have to give this a big context. Normally, a post like this with 100,000 likes would be career-ending for most streamers. In 2024, Asmon did a couple of streams with Kaisi. She has been a streamer on Twitch since 2018 and an adult content creator for years, way before meeting Asmon. After a couple of months of streaming with Asmon, Kaisi posted this on Instagram with the caption,
"Happy birthday in advance to me who is 18 every year."
She also immediately pinned and hearted this other comment to avoid any confusion because, of course, the implications would be insane given.
He said, guys, I believe you're mistaken. 18 is a phrase used in Chinese to wish someone to look or to have passion as young as 18 years old. The literal meaning is year 18 or 18 years old every year. So that's the idea.
She has posted adult content for years before this. But someone still went and changed her famous birthdays page using that date, the same page that basically says she started full-time streaming when she was 12. What's amazing is that we had the same thing happen last year. I'll let you guess from which community this came from.
Asmongold laughs at the attempt from haters on Reddit, accusing him of dating an underage girl, Kaisi, who is a streamer and in her 20s. Those allegations were proven false pretty quickly as the age didn't match up. I do have to point out that the accusation was levied from an obsessive Hassan fan. That subreddit and their mods allow this type of environment to attack Hassan's perceived enemies.
I saw this.
Which tells you pretty much everything you need to know about this. And by the way, I think we all know women and men, right, who say, oh, yeah, I'm turning 21 this year, and they're actually turning 37 or whatever, right? It's just one of those things, oh, I'm turning 21, I'm at a certain point, you're like, oh, I'm 29 again. And this girl's just saying 18 again, having that look. And this is asinine to even that this is even a conversation, but people take things to the next step and they go. So continue.
Bro, people love writing fan fiction. It is crazy. And to me, it's really funny for me to see this happen. They just run out of actual stupid things to complain about. And now they write out fan fiction as well. I don't give this a lot of attention. It's just bullshit. But yeah, Sonorbers, yeah, it's just, I don't know why you'd make up bullshit like that. 122,000 likes about me being a pedophile. That's pretty crazy. And then you also have, by the way, the person blocked me. And I hate Asmongold, but what's the proof of any of this? Yeah, even people, we just make stuff up now. That's a serious accusation to tweet with no receipts. But you guys don't, by the way, I see some people saying the age of consent 17. Listen, if you are my age, if your age starts with a 3, you don't need to be dealing with anybody that's 17, okay?
1,000%. 1,000%. And it's good for him to actually say these things. I actually think this is the 100% way to tackle this stuff is like, hey, this shit's going around. This is how I'm going to handle it. And this is fucking insane that they would put this out there. Let's Go finish the last 20 seconds.
I'll talk to my lawyers next time I have a meeting with them. Then I'll see kind of what their input is, right? It's so cringe to see something like that happen. But unfortunately, that's just reality.
What's also reality is that Honest Abe here is going to make money from this post. But oh, would you look at that? His account is fully verified. Do you have any idea how easy it is to subpoena a Twitter account? See you in court, Abe.
So
I like how he says Honest Abe. That was smart.
all right. So with that said, since then, this account has been deleted entirely. They went in, deleted it. This person points out. However, that doesn't delete the information on the X servers right here. So with all that context and with all that being said, we have seen lawsuits levied against people we know, right? We got everyone's favorite waitress suing Smash JT, right? For quote unquote defamation. And that'll be actually a very important lawsuit. But you see Asmongold pondering the idea of suing this person right here. At what point obviously there's defamation involved, calling somebody a PDF, right? Do you think that's the right call to sue somebody into oblivion? And do you think it's worth his time, both from a money standpoint and from a reputational standpoint? I mean, people already hate him, but I don't know. What are you guys' thoughts on this?
So this is a bit of a complex topic, really, because on the one hand, this is a multi-millionaire suing someone for stuff they said on social media.
Right.
That's one element of it. Another element of it is that this is clearly defamation. Absolutely. He is in the right to sue this person. So you have a moral aspect and a legal aspect, and you've also then got a third, which a more interesting aspect is, why not? Like, we have defamation laws. They're quite broad as they are. And the only real definition is if this makes a reasonable person think less of you. And a post with this many likes, etc., has clearly, evidently made a lot of people think less of Asmongold. In our current age of social media, where anyone can say anything they want, and the government does not clamp down on them, as it should not, we do not want censorship, perhaps it is incumbent upon us to actually act less forgiving when it comes to things like this. There's definitely an argument to be made there that you have a certain duty to uphold your own honor in this, you know?
I'd say real fast that it's not like the person called him a duty face.
You're right.
You know, he basically potentially accused him of an actual crime. And so that can be bad. And then obviously with that kind of crime, that can really, really destroy your image, especially when it's not true. So to me, I would say probably you should. And it also may help set precedent in the future for kind of comments like that, especially when you're talking about someone breaking the law and they didn't. That's quite an accusation.
Right. Well, it's weird because it's one thing if someone just throws some shit out online, right? But when it has 122,000 likes on it, you know, it's gained that momentum and over 3 million people have seen it. Look, if it's some nobody throwing bullshit out that's seen by 6 people, whatever, right? But there is still, 6 people is more than 0. So I don't know, Blabs, what do you think? You think this is something that should be pursued by Asmongold?
Yeah, so I would always say that these type of slander cases are a case by case, because if you don't have enough money for the lawsuits, etc., the time to go through this giant stress, right? Because it's gonna be stressful. Then you got to debate everything and see what outweighs what. But in the case of Asmongold, where I'm fairly certain he's got enough money to actually pursue this and have a lawsuit, I would do it, because so many people are just throwing around these words without any repercussions, without anything really, and it would set a precedent for other people to be like, maybe you shouldn't say that to somebody without actually having any receipts, right? So yeah, if I was Asmongold and I had the resources to do it, I would.
And resources, that is an interesting point as well, because on social media, where anyone can say anything they want, and we don't want to have central control over it. We don't want the government to censor people. We don't want the corporations or the platform to censor people. If it is then incumbent upon people themselves to uphold their own reputation, we really do need a better way to do this, because a normal person isn't going to be able to engage in what could very easily be a 3-year-long court battle because somebody called you a word on the internet. And this is even irrelevant of how serious it is. Pedophile is, of course, a significantly worse accusation, but even being called a Nazi, right? We can argue that in this day and age, that doesn't matter, that people don't care, but it's no more than like 6-7 years ago where that could get your job taken away, you know? We do need some sort of like lower court system for this, or alternatively, just bring back dueling.
Yes, and Arch has a sword and he's ready to roll.
I do.
I think this would be
So does
really
Leaflet, apparently, too.
yeah, Leaflet just bust out a sword out of nowhere. That's great. Yeah, I think that'd be really great to see and set a precedent. And I go back to this lawsuit with Smash JT, right? Like this idea that Mercante is saying that, you know, defamation, and it's very clear that they're just trying to drag it out and milk money from him at this point, right? That's kind of, you know, this lawsuit should not last a year and it should not continue to extend. And but I've said this when the whole thing was launched, and I say this now, like it's going to be a very important lawsuit in the grand scheme of things, where you have a guy who is more or less reporting on things and giving his opinion, right, on certain things. And I think that's probably the one thing about Smash that he does pretty well is he says, in my humble opinion, on a lot of things, providing context. It's not like he put out an X post and said, Asmongold is this, or this person is this, as a definitive fact. But maybe I'm wrong. And like I said, that's why I think this is an important court case when it comes to Smash and the waitress. And it would be really wonderful to see this person just drugged through the mud and called on this bullshit, because chances are this person is a basement dweller who has no life, has no kids, lives with his mom, you know, all the stereotypes, and is a member of Trantifa and all those things, and and has nothing of value. But at what point is it not about receiving anything? It's about sending a message.
Well, there's the other point too, right? Because this is how the media gets away with this. If the media was going to cover this, they wouldn't say Asmongold is a pedophile. They would say Asmongold alleged of pedophilia. And that's how you avoid consequences. Because now you're not stating it, you're saying, you know, quote unquote. And it might sound silly, but that is how we distinguish these things. And then there's also, of course, you normally in cases as well, you need to be able to prove that something has happened negatively. Like either you need to prove damages, like a lost sponsorship or things like that. But this too kind of is like an old world thing where we think that, okay, but we can surely measure what has happened to you, right? But in our age, this really is about reputation. As was said in the little clip by the person using the AI voice, and God curse him for that, incidentally. 100,000 likes on a post calling you a pedophile with like millions of views. Yet to anyone who isn't Asmongold, that is a disaster. Like that is actually career ending.
Yeah.
Like that is absolutely fulfills the definition of defamation, that reasonable people will think less of you.
I think I've said this all along. I think that you can only be canceled if you truly want to be canceled. But something like that, where there are hundreds of thousands of likes on something, I mean, brands will attach to that, and you can continue doing what you're doing, but you may not see any like brand sponsorships for things like that. Imagine
for a small person that, you know, if they were just trying to get a job, and they HR looks through your social media history and they see something like that. That's a biggie, especially for the small person. I mean, so that's what I'm saying. Like when you're essentially saying someone was part of a crime, I think you're really pushing the limits of how this all works. You know, you're pushing the limits of the system. Right. Well, we'll see where this goes, obviously, and I think that it would be really, really fun to see him pursue. Yeah, it's obviously not an urgent thing for him,
But you know, I think it is worth pursuing and at least getting a little bit of information when it comes to legal advice on this. Better than, you know, Chat GPT and stuff. Got another video for you right here. Go and watch it. It's a good one.